to another Better Conversations podcast with the founders. We are here to discuss the everyday things we see and apply our youthful wisdom to share our thoughts. Now, this one is obviously quite a big one. I think it's probably about time we actually had the discussion on this one, which is around the impact on social media, or of social media, I guess, on our mental health, specifically for Gen Z, but there's probably other generations that have, I guess, been impacted as well. I mean, it's ultimately transformed the way we live. And I think today we just want to sort of open up the discussion, explore sort of how different social media platforms sort of influence our mental health, particularly amongst the younger generation. I mean, we're part of the generation where there's influencers and so much things going on now on social media. So I guess to open up the discussion, I'll actually say, out of all the social media platforms that we have used, I guess which ones do we use the most? I guess I'll throw it over to you first, Paul.
Personally, my preferences are definitely YouTube. On YouTube right now, and I use currently TikTok and Snapchat. Yeah, I think those three, just because they have a purpose or they entertain me the most from myself. TikTok is highly distracting. It's almost kind of addictive. YouTube, I think YouTube is just like the go-to for everyone. I don't really know someone who says, no, I don't use YouTube. And Snapchat serves a purpose, essentially, without being damaging in other ways. So, for example, for me, I use Snapchat to connect with people. People who, they're not like my best friends. So, there's no need to give them my phone number yet. So, especially if I just met them. But then the difference why I pick Snapchat over Instagram is that I could do the same thing with Instagram and be like, oh, yeah, let me get your Insta. But for me, Instagram is then also distracting, and the content on Instagram isn't like, I don't want to be scrolling through that or have the desire to scroll through that. So I just stay away from Instagram altogether. I have Snapchat to message people, YouTube entertainment, and TikTok entertainment, and sending memes and stuff to friends and family.
Yeah. To be fair, I would say I'm actually very similar to you. Actually, I don't think what you've listed there in terms of order is actually too far off what most people would probably use. Like YouTube is definitely like the go-to. I think what's interesting about YouTube is actually the way it sort of transformed its mission in some sense. I feel like when it started, it was very much like funny clips, just upload random funny video. I'm not sure if you remember those days, like, but that was just random funny videos. I remember in school, there was a video of like a breakdancer. I'm not sure if you remember this, like a breakdancer that accidentally kicked.
I think so.
Yeah, there was like some massive video going around that, maybe 2014. It was like a breakdancer that did a backflip and it accidentally kicked the baby, basically. And the baby went flying.
I've never seen that.
And the baby went flying, right? And it was like that thing basically just blew up everywhere. And I think loads of people just obviously, it probably wasn't just that video, but there was videos like that going around where it was like, oh snap, that's like really funny or really shocking or surprising. I think that's where YouTube started. But I think when I reflect on it, YouTube now is almost becoming, I think I would say almost like a Google, right? Like it's like a video version of Google where like you can ask it anything and there's a video for you. Like, teach me how to make this or teach me how to tie this.
Yeah. I think that's how most social medias actually start off, actually. If you think about it. Because TikTok, when it first arrived, was all about funny videos and dancing videos and like small little skits that make you chuckle. And then if you like go back to previous social medias that existed, like Vine and Musically, very, very similar. Those two didn't survive, but then TikTok did. And now TikTok's become like a mini Google almost too. Because if you have to search something very, very small that you're going to have to do, you search on TikTok. You have to search something a bit more complicated that you're going to have to do, and you want to watch someone do it, you search it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's actually like a natural transformation that we've seen consistently with different social media.
Yeah, that is becoming more of a search tool. And that's what I find interesting, actually, because when we actually, I mean, we've kind of lived through it, I guess, because we're sort of the older part of Gen Z, right? So we were there basically like MSN. We were very young, but remember stuff like
Yeah.
MSN and stuff like that. And it's like, for me, I think back then we would define social media as literally just a messaging platform, somewhere where you could connect and message people. Like that's what we would define it as. And I think today, I think it's, if you asked what is the purpose of social media, I think you would get a lot of answers. I'm not sure if you like how would you define that one? Like what do you think the purpose of social media is now?
Purpose of social media. I would still say the underlying purpose of social media is to connect people. Definitely. Whether it's you're streaming on Twitch and YouTube or StreamYard, or you're doing a TikTok live, or you're making content to put out to people, people are still connecting and engaging with it. So I'll still definitely say that's the underlying reason for social media. But I would say that it has now grown. So, like, you know how you plant a seed,
Yeah.
and it grows and it branches out, because now you've got the other aspects of marketing, and everyone's a not dropshipper. What's that term? Everyone's got some product to promote.
Yeah, some
That's like,
product.
oh, it's 50% off. Buy this
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Buy this little plastic thingy-majiggy. Buy this tablet. It's good for your health.
Mm.
Buy silk pillows. It's good for your sleep. Yeah, like whether you're on TikTok, Instagram, I think maybe even Snapchat too. I'm not sure about Snapchat. YouTube. It is now like a lot of marketing, and I don't know. Do you think they do that on purpose? These like the companies, so Google, TikTok, and Snapchat and Facebook, where they deliberately get users in through, oh yeah, look at this. This is entertainment, and once they've got you in, marketing.
Yeah. I think
That's
so.
a predetermined strategy.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. When you think about how even TikTok started, right? I mean, it was literally just, most of these things are just shared, aren't they? Well, most of these things, like you see a funny video, or Snapchat, for example, was, if you didn't have it, it was sort of like you couldn't message anyone, or you would get sent like a picture with a caption of something. You'd be like, oh snap, where did that come from? It's like, yeah, you need to download Snapchat and stuff. I think there's always like a pull to say that you need this, or like you're missing out on something. It's almost like that FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I think that's how they get you. Like you missed out on that video, you missed out on that funny clip. You missed out on being able to streaks. Remember Snap? They probably still have it, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into sort of why we deleted maybe certain social media apps after this, but like stuff like streaks and all that as well. Like you feel like you're missing out on something, and then once they pull you in, then they get you.
Very.
Yeah, and I feel like
discuss. Go on.
Yeah, and actually, I'm not sure if loads of people can relate to this in terms of what I'm about to say, but I guess I don't know if you actually ever deleted social medias before? Like, have you ever actually deleted any of your social media platforms? So like what you listed, have you ever deleted them, and what was the reason?
Yes, I haven't deleted my account, but I've taken breaks off of Snap for a while just because. So for my reason was I'm just tired of seeing other people's lives. Like I was in a zone where I didn't care. I also think it kind of reflects on myself, where I felt like nothing was going on for me, so I don't really care to look out and see others. Yeah, that's when I was like much younger. So as far as like, oh, I need to focus on myself rather than looking at what other people are doing right now. And then, but then I have to bring it back because there are certain people who, if I want to get in contact with them, I have to message them on Snap. Or I actually do want to see what they're doing, not just because like I'm nosy, but it's just good to see. Okay, this person's doing this. Is really cool. That's awesome. And you can like pop a comment or message. I think I did try Instagram for like 2 days one time, and then I permanently deleted the account. It's just wasn't for me, the type of content and stuff on there. I was just like, this is like not it. Deleted TikTok a few times just because of how addictive it can be. And how I call TikTok a time machine. Because if you have to kill 10, 20 minutes, you can take out TikTok, scroll and scroll and scroll, and 20 minutes is gone.
Yeah.
Bang. And you're just like, wow, I teleported to the future. Like
Yeah.
that's how I see TikTok. If I'm on like a train journey that's 20 minutes long, boom, pull out TikTok, you got some signal, that train journey. What, I'm here
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
So that's why one of the reasons I still have TikTok, but I do still connect with people that are very close to me on TikTok, send them stuff, they send me stuff, and we have a laugh, and like, we can have a quick message about it. And obviously YouTube, no one's really ever going to get rid of YouTube, but it's kind of needed now, almost kind of part of everyday life.
Yeah.
But the one that I did use for a while and deleted is Twitter or X. Reason being, I was on Twitter for about 2 years. I think this is during uni or maybe even during COVID. And it just felt like every single thing was some type of political or opinionated, or people are arguing or like something crazy.
Yeah.
And honestly, it starts to feel like, you know, when you turn the TV on, like back in the day, the old flat screen TVs, and make that grey sound of shh. Like sometimes I'd be on Twitter, and my brain mentally felt like that. Like I'm scrolling or reading stuff and I'm zoning out because at that point nothing's surprising me. Oh, it's this scandal, it's that scandal, this person's done this person's done that. And I was just like, I actually don't care enough to be tapped into the whole world and everyone's opinions like that to be on Twitter. And I came off Twitter and I genuinely felt more mentally relaxed.
Yeah.
And better for it. And I remember I went back on it for about 2 months and I've had the same problem again where it was just so much information and so much opinions about what this person should do and like criticisms of this, critiques of that. And then I was like, yeah, nah, Twitter or X, it's not it. There's actually not enough benefits in general to be on this. So yeah, I deleted that.
Yeah, I think those are some interesting points. I guess for me, I think we should include LinkedIn on this as well, actually, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we should include LinkedIn. So I guess I do use LinkedIn, YouTube. I've actually never deleted YouTube. I've actually never deleted it. I've always seen, especially because of the way it transitioned into this sort of search tool, I always saw it as something that was useful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've actually never deleted that. But all of the other ones, I think I've had the ones that you've listed, and I deleted all of them. And I guess I don't have any of them anymore. My accounts might still exist, but I don't. They're not on my phone. I hardly log in. And actually, some of the things that you said, I guess, around like, especially what you said around Twitter, feeling like your brain's just being overconsumed. Basically, you can't actually have clarity of thought. 100%, I felt some of that, and I wonder if, when we look at sort of some of the sources of social media, specifically in terms of why it's leading to maybe such negative impacts on mental health, I think that might actually be one of the ones. And actually, I was going to go back to what you said around sort of social media's underlying purpose to connect people. And I was going to ask, how well do you think it's done that? If maybe people were going to come back from 2007, let's say 2006, and they're probably still users of social media. If that was a goal of social media, would we say, yeah, it's done? It's,
its purpose.
Yeah.
How
well do you think it's achieved it?
Depends how much you use it. That's the unfortunate answer. So I would say for me, it's done decently enough. Because there are a few people from uni that, if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't be in contact with them now. There are there's like I have a friend from my time at uni who I stay in contact with her essentially through TikTok. Even if we talk or catch up like once a month or 2 or 3 months, we kind of send each other TikToks every day. That helps us to keep in contact. We also have another mutual friend from church,
Mm.
the Jamaican. I send him basketball stuff and he sends me comic stuff sometimes, and
Yeah.
that keeps us in contact. So it is working to some degree. Just that, how much do you have to use it to reap the benefits? Is then the question.
Yeah. I think so. What was really interesting was I was actually at church, and the speaker that day said, like, when was the last time you received an actual letter, right? And I was like, snap, like, yeah. The last time I actually received like a handwritten letter from someone, like, I think that was probably maybe year 6, like Christmas cards or something like that. Like, I haven't received, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't received like an actual handwritten letter, right? And he was basically raising the point, like, how much do we actually think about the connections that we're making? Because now, I think, like, just taking that example of now, you know, we can send like these funny videos to each other. Like, have we actually, how much of do we use social media now? Like, whereas before, you would maybe sit down and actually write a very in-depth letter. You actually want to find out, you know, like, how much this person's life has progressed. You know, you actually want to make a meaningful connection with them, so that when you get that response back, it's a fulfilling response. And I think potentially what social media has done is, for me anyway, it's made it easier to connect, but I think it's also made it very surface level, which I think where you get to that point where, well, what I've heard anyway, where you can sort of get to this point where you feel like you're connected, but there's no meaning to those connections. I think that's where you can get this feeling of loneliness. And, you know, like, this generation suffers with that a lot. And I think that's potentially where it comes from, where we actually are probably the most connected generation ever, right? You're seeing like influencers from all across the world, France, America, like, you could literally just reach out to these people like quick. Like, it's easy to connect with people now. Like, you have no excuse, like, to not connect with someone who, if you want a job, like, I don't know, at a big firm, you could go on LinkedIn, type in that firm's name, go through the connections. You can connect. Like, it's easy to connect now. But I think the question is, how meaningful are those connections? So what do you think about that?
I think that's a brilliant point. And I do think it's gonna sound crazy. I think LinkedIn is the biggest, like, has the biggest issue with that of me and its connections, because I've had a LinkedIn since I was about 14, 15.
Yeah.
Because my first ever work experience was in a bank, and they told me about LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So created one, connected. Okay, cool. Then I had a second work experience in a consulting firm. They told everyone about LinkedIn, and I'm already like, oh yeah, you got one. Yeah, let me just add people. Okay, cool. How many people from there do I actually know? If I scroll down to my very first connection ever made, they won't recognize my face or know who I am. If I reach out to them for help, it's like, the only benefit is because we're already connected, I can actually message them without LinkedIn putting up as an issue, or you don't know this person. Yeah, but they'll be like, where do I know this guy from?
Yeah.
I don't even remember him. Like, I don't remember anything personal or specific about him. So he's asking for help or asking for a recommendation or something. But it's just like, why should I give it to him? Do I even know him? Do I even know him properly to put my reputation on the line to give a recommendation? Stuff like that. I think LinkedIn's the biggest one for that.
Yeah.
I think, in a sort of way, if you haven't seen anyone for 2 years in person, or message them, called them, or seen them in person for over 2 years or 3 years, how well do you even know that person for them to be like a connection on LinkedIn?
Yeah. That's a good point. And I think actually,
and then sometimes you're even making connections with people you've never even met.
Yeah.
They're just adding you because they see you posted this, or they see
Yeah.
job update, or they wanna, they actually want to talk to someone else. They just want to connect with you first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They want to recruit you into some marketing scheme.
Mm,
Like, it's yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, and I think like because while you've been speaking, I've been putting down points, right, to kind of try and answer the question. I think social media, I guess, has had a negative impact on our health, and you would think that for something that has a purpose to connect us, you would hope that it wouldn't do that. So I
Mm,
guess, for me, I think actually one of the first reasons why is actually the point I brought up, which is the quality of our connections have actually gone down. Even though it's easier to connect, I feel like the quality
mm,
of our connections have gone down. So we almost like, I know Simon Sinek, for example. If you haven't come across Simon Sinek before, he's just a thought leader in leadership. You can just search him up. He's famous for his talk "Find Your Why" on TEDx. But basically, I know he's writing a book on how to be a good friend with like a co-author, right? And you would think, and he was basically explaining like why he's doing it, and he said it's because we're actually losing that quality to actually be a good friend. And I just found that so interesting that you would never think that that book would be written. It's almost natural. Like you go to school maybe, or you grow up, you got family, friends, you're connected, right? But I feel like
mm.
as we're going through the evolutions of social media, and as it is becoming more marketing, information overload, just signaling, we're starting to lose, I think, the meaning of a connection. And I think that could be part of the reason. So I think that's reason number one, actually, for me anyway. The reason why it's had an impact on our health.
I think that's a very good point. Because I'm like now thinking, right? Imagine one day in the future you become so successful. This podcast is, top 5, number 1 in the world.
Yeah.
We've now bought a yacht to have a yacht party. Who do you actually bring to
Mm,
enjoy your success with? Like, what's your differentiation between? You can't invite everyone on your Snapchat list. They're not all your friends like that.
yeah.
You can't invite everyone from your Instagram. They're definitely not your friends like that. Your
Definitely
Twitter,
not
they're not your
LinkedIn.
friends like that. That's exactly, definitely not LinkedIn. So how do you know
Mm,
who to invite? Like someone that was actually genuinely there to help you, to support you to get to your success, and
yeah.
there's a meaningful connection. In our
Mm,
current world, do people actually know the differentiator?
yeah. Yeah. That's actually a tough question as well. And you know what's interesting, right? I feel like this is going to lead us back to actually the people that you actually have the most meaningful connections with. Yeah. You're actually probably doing the very old tech stuff, like giving them a phone call, actually meeting up with them in person, going to have a meal. Like those are the things that are actually meaningful. Like I feel
Yeah.
like social media has given us access to more connections. But then I guess the question is as well, do we even need more connections, right?
Do you know what this sounds
Yeah.
like? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever play Ultimate Team on FIFA?
Yeah.
Like, when you're building your team and you got the
Yeah.
chemistry, you
Yeah.
got some are green and then some are
And then
red and
some
some are
red,
orange.
orange. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, so now you got, like, before you'd have like a group of 5, 8, 10 people that
Yeah.
you know, and all the connections are green, maybe one or
Mm.
two would be orange. Now it feels like you've got maybe 50 to 100 connections, only 2 of them are green, 3
Yeah.
of them are green. You got like 10 orange, and then the rest of them are red. You just know them, but you don't know them
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. 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 No, that's actually a very good analogy. And I think for me, that's actually probably one of the big reasons why I probably even that was actually a big driver for me to why I actually deleted some of the apps as well. Because I just felt
Mm,
like I wasn't actually making meaningful connections. And that that detriment is detrimental in two ways. The first is that it's negative on your mental health because you might feel lonely even though you know all of these people. But then the second one is actually meaningless connections probably hurt you more than you know. Like, yeah, I just know this guy, but like you're not nurturing it. And I think potentially meaningless connections might actually hurt your own personal growth. So I feel like for me, that's one reason. And I was going to go into a second reason, which is like what you said on the train around like TikTok, just being able to 20 minutes feels like 1 minute kind of thing. I feel like maybe there's two things in that which I've been which literally popped into my head. The first one is like, it might feel like our time is shorter, and that might actually put pressure on us as well. Like, if you like think about it, if for you have an intent, right? You want to waste 20 minutes, so you just waste 20 minutes. But for the person that doesn't have the intent and they've wasted like 3-4 hours, they might feel, like, and time actually does feel like that quick when you're on these apps, right? Like they might feel like snap, like 80 years of life doesn't feel like 80 years of life anymore, right? It feels like 40 because like like maybe everything just feels sped up. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but for me, like that definitely could lead to way more anxiety.
How do you define anxiety?
I mean, yeah, anxiety, I'd say is probably just feeling very worried about the future. So for me, it's like if you feel like, your future self is coming faster. So if you feel like you're going to turn 40 faster than you actually will turn 40, let's say, because everything just feels sped up, and you want to hit this, like you need to hit this by 40 or 30 or whatever. Like if you feel like your time...
Are you saying the effects of social media give you like some type of time dilation?
Yeah.
Mentally?
Yeah.
Or are you saying that it's putting pressure on you to have a certain level of success by a certain age?
It could be both actually, but I think that the first point I'm making is the first one that you made.
The actual time dilation.
Yeah, the actual time dilation. I feel like potentially it might be very small, but I feel like potentially, like a lot of these apps, you could waste a day on them and it doesn't feel like it was a day. Whereas if you were actually walking for a day, that would feel like a day. Like, you get what I mean? Like I went to Rome, right? I went to Rome recently, and like I was walking a lot. Yeah, like Rome, you just walk around it, and like when I told you those days felt long, like they felt long. But if I was sitting on TikTok, it would not feel that long for sure. So I don't know. It feels like there could be a time dilation thing going on for me anyway.
No,
I don't know how you feel about that.
I actually agree. I do think, yeah, if I wanna waste a day, so we could finish recording and I could watch a Netflix episode, watch some YouTube, watch some TikTok. Boom, it's 11 o'clock now, 11 p.m.
Yeah, it's done, isn't it?
But if after recording, I decide to go outside, meet some friends, go for a walk, get a meal, enjoy their company, have some this beautiful discussions, better conversations, then boom, you're right. The day, like, I actually did like a day.
Yeah.
It felt like I come back and I'm like, oh, I feel tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for bed.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah. I do actually, and I do, maybe that's why everyone always says they feel like the year is going so fast, the month is going so fast. Yeah. But maybe that's actually could be why. We waste so much time on the social media and they give us like a time dilation effect that we just like, oh, snap, this day is already here. This month is already here. Yeah. Christmas is already here.
Yeah. Yeah, like for me, I feel like Christmases go so, like, it's like next Christmas. I'm just thinking, snap, like the days haven't changed in the year. Yeah. So why, you know what I mean? Like, why is it feeling, why is every year feeling much faster? And I think there probably is like a little bit of a aging effect as well. Because, people that are older than us always tell us, like you'll be at my age before you know it kind of thing. And, as you get older, time probably does feel a bit shorter as well.
Yeah, someone wants to explain that to me. I think I saw a YouTube video or maybe a TED talk where it's like, so when you're younger, so if you're 10 years old, 1 year is a tenth of your life.
Yeah.
So it feels long relative to your consciousness.
Yeah.
But by the time you're 40, 1 year is a 40th of your life.
Yeah.
So relative to your consciousness, it's like it's much like
Yeah, much.
different, like
Yeah,
compressed. So
yeah.
that's why I think someone was thinking that's why it feels time goes faster as we get older.
Mm. And I think there's also a wisdom aspect to that as well. Like you put things more into perspective, right? Because obviously, because like you know that 1 year, because you've lived through so many years, you know that 1 year isn't that much of a big deal. Whereas if you're still young, 1 year is like a massive deal, right? So yeah, there's a bit of wisdom
Yeah,
and perspective in that as well, which is quite nice. I think
yeah,
that's quite nice for older people. Um,
yeah, right.
yeah, but like I think going back to that point, I feel like that time dilation thing, it does impact the way we make decisions. I remember reading Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, which is a really good book, by the way. And if you're always in like a state where you're thinking fast, which I think is what social media kind of does to us, then you don't really slow down. And like, I think the slowing down aspect, we're sort of starting to lose that as well. And I think that does lead to negative impacts on our mental health as well. There are times where you need to think fast, right? Like, you shouldn't be wasting time on very simple questions like 2 plus 2 and stuff like that. Like,
Mm.
there's a reason why there's like 2 modes of thinking, and there's a reason why we have a thinking fast mode. But
Yeah,
it's detrimental if you constantly are in that mode, or you feel like you need to always be in that mode, because you're more prone to make errors, because you're thinking fast, when sometimes you might apply thinking fast when you actually should think slow. And also, I think thinking slow does give you a bit more space and time to put things into perspective. Like what we were saying with the day, like a whole day will actually feel like a whole day. So yeah, for me, that's another reason why I actually deleted it. I think it was around maybe this idea of being present, I guess. Like actually feeling like you're using the time, or at least the time is going relative to what it should feel like. But yeah.
do you know do you know what irritates me in our
Yeah.
current generation? I
Mm.
have to say I don't really have this problem with my close group of friends. When you're out with people and you're, I don't know, you're eating,
Yeah.
you're walking, you're talking, and they're typing away on their phone.
Yeah.
It's like generally, unless you're talking to your family about something important, like a mum, your dad, or a sibling, like you can't enjoy the
Yeah.
present,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like there's no need to be elsewhere. Like
Mm.
that can actually wait. Be present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like enjoy the person that you're walking with or you're eating with. Otherwise, what's the point in
Yeah. What was
just
the point
showing
in
off your
even? Yeah.
face?
Yeah.
I think that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with that. I think they just can't be present. And I do think that's one of the negative effects we've seen of social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Or when people are at concerts and rather than enjoying the music or the concert or the event,
Yeah.
they're too busy.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like because they have to show people, oh, I
Mm.
was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, to be honest, that leads on to a third point. But actually, that is actually a reason why I actually didn't have anyone. Obviously, you were at my wedding. The person actually said at the start, "No filming." It wasn't actually because you
Really?
might have forgotten, but like yeah, they said no cameras and no filming basically, and you might have actually forgotten that part. But like the reason why was because of exactly that. Like I
Mm.
actually wanted people to be present. Like I didn't want the doors to open, my wife to start walking down, and everyone's just like video,
Oh,
and it's like
no.
video, and it's like video on me, and it's like video on her, and then like the whole thing's just being like camera. It's like actually you'll probably enjoy it a lot more if you actually just, instead of looking through your lens, actually look at the bride coming down the aisle. Actually look at the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you don't need to be looking through your lens. So yeah, I think you're right on that one.
I
Um,
think that one, I actually might rank that as the worst effect that
yeah,
social media has had on us
mm,
as a generation.
yeah, yeah,
That your favorite artist or you've gone to see a play and you just can't enjoy the moment.
yeah,
And it's not, here's the thing: if it was like the first song, right, and you want to show, okay, I'm here,
yeah. I'm here. Yeah,
all
yeah,
right, cool. I hear that every song or every
yeah,
two songs. And the thing is, they're not even like some of them. They're not even recording for themselves to say save it as memories because I've done that.
yeah,
especially when I was like, younger and I went to my first concert. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember every single bit of
Yeah.
it. So yes, I was recording a lot. I didn't post any of it though. I genuinely did record it for me, but you see people, they bring on their whole that light thing to make sure that
Yeah, to
the
make sure that it's,
camera's picking up light
yeah,
and make sure it's good. They want I don't want to stream it or post it, and yeah, man,
yeah,
it's just like enjoy it. Or after you record one or two, but then rather than holding your camera, actually enjoy it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so,
Dance or chant or cheer or something, rather
yeah,
than
exactly.
seeing if your camera's stable.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like the point you actually just mentioned there as well actually links nicely into that first point that we were discussing as well around having very loose connections. Because actually, think about it, right? If you're putting in that much effort only to literally have a connection that isn't very valuable anyway, you're just going to stream this thing, or you're just going to put it and get a few likes, right? Like the effort to the reward, it's not it's not identical.
The ratio's
So
off.
yeah, the ratio's off. So like if I'm out here, like filming like this whole concert, or I'm like doing loads of makeup, like like doing loads of makeup, putting on my best outfits to go get loads of pictures, or like like when you go to a restaurant, yeah, like get every single picture of every single meal, right? You're doing all of that. You're gonna share it, get a few likes. Like you wasted the moment for a couple of likes. I mean, that's surely, at least in the subconscious, going to impact you, because it's not real. It doesn't feel like you were in the moment. It was real, but at the same time, like what you've done with that, I feel like it hasn't matured anything, and nothing's come from it. And I think it leads into the third point as well around the which I was going to say, the pressure actually to be involved and do things. But you're going to say something, so I'll let you say something and then we'll go into that.
I was going to give a story.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I used to work in stadiums in London, right? There was this concert, an Afrobeats concert, and I was working in this like private area with like special guests, not like VIP, not like celebrities or anything, but people who paid more to have like their own area.
Okay, to have like a special experience.
Yeah, and this like woman came in. She came to enjoy the concert. She spent more time facing the other way than the actual concert because she wants to record the concert on her back so people can see she has a concert. And I was like, that's crazy.
Insane, isn't it?
Rather than turning around and actually enjoying the concert, she's faced this way so she can like lip sync while the person was performing. She's like, oh, look where I am. Like, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. It's these type of things, I think, that are definitely impacting us. And I feel like the reason why we're being led to do those type of things is because of, I guess, what I was going to go on to the third point, which is actually the pressure to be involved. Like, it's almost like you're in or you're out. Like, there's no in between. Like, you have to be involved. It's like, if, for example, right, like before I went to Italy, I was seeing all of these like reels coming up. Like, were being sent to me on like YouTube Shorts and all this stuff, right? Loads of reels on what to do in Italy, what to do in Rome, right? Tons of stuff like Lake Como and all of these things, and they've got all these nice images of what to do when you're in Italy, like what shops to visit, where to go, all the marketing and signaling type of stuff. And you feel the pressure, like, snap, if I don't go and visit these things, like, I've missed out. Like, I've actually missed out, isn't it? Like, everyone's raving about it, and you feel like if I don't go and do it, I've missed out. And then when I do go and do it, I've got to show people that I've gone and done it, because then that's like a stamp of approval. And
I was there.
Yeah. Like, I feel like there's almost like a pressure, like, and because it's the marketing and signaling type thing from influencers or companies, like there is a pressure to actually take part as well, which I think keeps people in that loop. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to do some type of activity or go out for the day, and there was actually just no one to go with? You've got all these connections, but in terms of you want to go out and make a make a true connection or live life, but you don't realize, wow, you just got no one to go with.
Yeah. I think I have been in that situation, and like, I'd be surprised if a lot of people haven't actually, for our generation anyway. Like, I know the people to call on, let's say, but I have been in that situation where it's like, there's actually, I want to do this, but there's not really the right person. You get what I mean, to do it with, and yeah, that's kind of painful, isn't it? Like,
it is.
yeah, it does feel sad. So, yeah, I think in some sense, social media, it's done its duty, I would say. Like, it promised to connect people, and I feel like it has done that. I feel like it has achieved its purpose. But as you said, I think it's how you use it. And then also, I think you have to understand that the connection is, I think, really only one part of the journey to actually what we actually seek and what we actually want, which is meaningful connections, meaningful experiences. In the end, just finishing off my story from all the Instagram reels I saw of Rome and stuff, I actually just put that all away. I just looked at a map and I said, let me just go to the place I want to go to. And I felt much better. And I didn't have to go and snap it and feel like, I missed out on anything. I think like that pressure to get involved and actually do things, it keeps you in a cycle of maybe following the trends, meaningless connections. And it's almost like a cycle of just negative upon negative. But you get these little bumps, don't you, of, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. It's almost like a heartbeat, like, yeah, it's keeping me alive. But, it does make me think, if we were to pull the plug on this social media stuff, I remember watching, I think we both watched this video actually. I think this is a good story to end on actually. I think we watched this video where it was like, you have to sit in a room for silence for like what?
Oh.
Yeah. For like,
for 20 minutes.
20 minutes, right? And your phone was there, but you can't touch it.
You have the notifications on.
Yeah. You have to keep your notifications on. And you're not allowed to look at it for 20 minutes. And what was the prize? Wasn't there a prize, like £100 or I forgot, there was a prize, right?
Yeah, it was like a decent prize, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good prize.
And they couldn't do
it. And for me, it does make me think, like, if we were to pull the plug, like, on social media, like, what would happen? And I feel like for me, I think what would happen is kind of like what Simon Sinek's getting at, which is actually, I think people have almost forgotten how to actually make meaningful connections. Like, how many people actually know, like, generally know, even watching this, like, how to actually make a friend? Do you know what questions to ask? Like, if you had to sit down and write a letter to someone that you hadn't spoken to in 2 years, like, what would you ask? Those are the type of things that are actually meaningful connections. I don't think we do that anymore. I mean, I don't. Like, so I'm not talking from a position of like power or anything. I know I don't do that anymore. Like, so for sure, I'm not the only one, and I think that's a negative.
I want to give a quick plug to what you just said.
Yeah,
there's a show called The Big Bang Theory. Everyone's probably heard about it, right? Everyone's probably heard of Dr. Sheldon Cooper, and he actually developed something called the friendship algorithm.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and I'll be very honest. I have used it, and in my opinion, it does work. Now, am I saying that, the people that I've used it with are my closest friends right now? Probably not. But the people I've used it on are people who I could give a call, ask them how they are, or if I'm in the area, I can link up with them and catch up with them because we've done it before, thanks to the friendship algorithm. So, based on what you just said there, I think it was actually a good thing to share with everyone.
Yeah, share it with everyone,
Give me a second, I can't spell. If it's going to go clear. Right. So it says step 1, you place a phone call. If the person's home, you ask them, would you like to share a meal? You wait for the response. If they say yes, you go for a meal. If they say no, you say, do you enjoy a hot beverage? If they say yes, you go for some tea, some coffee, some hot chocolate. If they say no, you offer a recreational activity. Recreational activity. Tell me one of your interests. So they say, "Oh, I like rock climbing, or I like dancing, or I like roller skating." You join them on that activity. If they say no, if you don't share the interests, wait, it's a bit confusing. But if you read it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I have used it, and
Yeah.
it does low-key work. I
Yeah.
usually don't get to the share your interest part. I do end up going for a meal or like a small little cafe to catch up with people, and it is very useful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when you actually think of that, like how much social media actually helps to actually doing that, it's very minimal. You probably connect with someone, get their number. You know, so like it does go to show, I think, that actually what social media has become, I think probably, yeah, at the very, very like deep in the roots now. Because what it's become is like, as you said, it's grown, it's massive now. That, you know, it's still to connect people. But for sure, you know, how helpful it is in making meaningful connections, I think there's still nothing that replaces actually the simple stuff like, do you like hot beverages or cold beverages? You know, like the simple conversations that you can have with people, you know, like, you know, where do you work? You know, how did you get into that? These are the type of things that social media doesn't help with. And it's only down to us, I think, to make more meaningful connections, to actually feel more meaning in our lives. But also, I think to also feel a feeling of importance, right? And I think deep down, that's where the mental health problems are coming from with social media. I think people are feeling less and less important. I think it's the meaningless connections, the pressure to fit in. You know, like there's nothing that, you know, if you have meaningless connections and you always have to feel like you have to follow the crowd, then, you know, what type of life are you leading for yourself? And you might feel like you're not in control of that.
I know it's supposed to end soon, yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think, you know, the point of lacking the ability to be present? Do you think social media could potentially be hindering our capabilities of having conversations? So if someone, let's say you actually meet up with someone and you're talking to them, but because they don't have to be present, it's like, what do you actually talk about? Like they're kind of like not used to it, or they don't know how to go deep or explore certain topics and like expand their thinking, because Twitter, well, used to have a character limit and you just read it. Most TikToks used to be like a minute. So even for myself, TikTok's like over 3 minutes, I kind of tap out. So do you think that could also be a side effect of social media?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I actually do think so. It might be interesting to actually read into all of that because, yeah, if as you said, content's getting shorter, all of these things, it's like you might actually struggle to start being able to have conversations and actually articulate yourself without the power of social media behind you.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Do you think it's easier for our generation to absorb information and absorb opinions from the social medias? But now when it comes to me asking you your opinion and for you to articulate it, now you struggle. So now it's harder. That's why it's hard for you to enjoy the presence of people in your company, like without actually like consciously realizing it. Because would you rather be out and have to talk to people, or at home scrolling through your phone in bed? Because if you're at home scrolling through your bed, you don't have to articulate; you just have to absorb.
Yeah. No, that's actually a very good point. And it actually goes on to, I think it's, if we go to some of like the previous philosophers and psychologists, right? I think Carl Jung said like he refused to. I think he said something like, "I refuse to read Friedrich Nietzsche, or else none of my ideas will be original," or something like that. Like that's how like that's how high he read. Like that's how high like he held Friedrich Nietzsche. It was like, and I've heard other authors and philosophers say stuff like that. Like I don't read any books or anything when I'm actually trying to put what I think down, you know? Like, I don't actually read anything. I don't absorb anything. And I think that's interesting because actually that's where they're able to articulate themselves the best, because it's their perspective. And actually, you're right. If we absorb so much, like how much of our thinking is actually our own, and then that gets into a scary thought as well.
Yeah. Have you seen the clip? Wait, we might have to cut this out. It's up to you. But I'll continue. Have you seen the clip where there's a kid in the classroom and the teacher's teaching them English, and they're discussing J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, and the kids said that, oh, we don't like J.K. Rowling anymore, and the teacher goes, why? And the child goes, oh, because she's transphobic. And the teacher asked them, do you believe she's transphobic, or have you been told she's transphobic? And the child says, I'm not sure what you mean by that. So then throughout the whole of that video, the teacher then breaks down or asks questions so the child can think independently and break down why they think J.K. Rowling is transphobic.
Yeah. And
then at the end of the video, when he's asked the child some of the different questions, he then asked the child, so in your opinion, based on what you just said for the last 2 minutes and your opinion that you've given, do you think she's transphobic? And the child goes, no, I actually don't think so. So then the teacher asks, do you think she should be cancelled? And the child goes, no, I don't think so. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here, where that child through social media and news outlets has been told what to think. And then he doesn't know how to articulate it.
Yeah.
Now, when I say a child, I don't mean someone that's like 10 years old. I mean, this is someone in secondary school.
Yeah, secondary school, yeah.
I want to say 9, 10, or 11. So at that age, you can definitely start thinking for yourself. But it wasn't until the teacher asked very specific questions was the child then able to link the chain of thoughts together and then articulate it.
Yeah.
But that child's growing up in an area of social media where opinions just blasted at us every single day.
Yeah. And to be fair, right, this is obviously another topic, but like, actually, obviously the skill of knowing how to think is obviously very key and very critical. And actually, I think we are losing that slowly. And actually, I think it's going to become more important now, because actually, when you're looking at technologies like AI, for example, it's actually the power of prompt engineering that ensures that you get the answer that you want. Like, you actually have to make sure you're asking the right question, because this thing just has abundance of knowledge. That's all it has. It doesn't actually have, in some sense, a power to truly articulate itself. So you actually need to trigger it to articulate what you want it to articulate, right? So actually, how to think is actually becoming more important as our systems get smarter and smarter. And I think social media is definitely dwindling that. And again, it's the power of connection and actually having meaningful connections and knowing what you want to say and how you want to communicate it to others that actually, I think, will ultimately make you stand out in the future. So, yeah, this was a very interesting conversation. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I mean, let us know in the comments what you think the impact of social media is on our health, and if you agree with some of the points that we raised today.
Okay.
Yeah. See you in the next one.